Americans buy more chicken than any other meat. While red meat consumption has steadily declined, the amount of chicken we eat is going up. In today's show, I am going to teach you 3 of my favorite ways to cook chicken. First, a delicious paillard of chicken, one of the speediest routes to a healthy meal. The second recipe, a favorite comfort food for the cooler months, individual chicken pot pies. And finally, chicken under a brick, a succulent whole bird perfect for the grill, flavored with fresh herbs, lemon juice, and garlic. You'll learn the technique for flattening a whole chicken, just like they do in your favorite restaurant. Do you have a trick or two when it comes to getting dinner on the table quickly? Well, here is one trick that will really serve you in good stead. Preparing paillards couldn't be easier. While this French term may sound fancy, all it really means is a thin, flat serving of meat, such as the boneless, skinless chicken breast that I'm using here today. You can use pork, you can use veal, you could even use beef. These are the boneless chicken breasts. When you buy them like this, they still have the chicken tender attached. Save this for breading and making into little chicken fingers for the children. And then you're left with a very nice, almost the same thickness piece of chicken. Now take your knife and slice on an angle along one side. It's really the same thing as butterflying. And don't use a serrated knife because you don't want to tear the meat. Use a very, very sharp, I'm using a boning knife. So that's one cut, and then do a similar cut on this side. You're only going halfway down through the thickness of the meat and opening the breast outward. This will then be pounded to make a nice thin paillard. That looks good. Put this between 2 sheets of plastic wrap. If you use one sheet, you might not have enough room. It might kind of confine the spreading of the chicken, so I think it's better to get in the habit of using 2 sheets of plastic wrap, like that. Do this on the board. And use a pounder like this. Don't use that part because you're not tenderizing. What we're doing is flattening, so this works. If you don't have one of these, you could use any kind of heavy flat surface. But see how the meat is spreading? Best to go about 1/4 of an inch thick. Now you can prepare this early in the day before the meal, so you can just chill these nice, thin pieces of meat. There, I think that one's done very nicely. It all looks about the same thickness. Now heat in a pan a tablespoon of olive oil and about a tablespoon of butter. The butter's for flavor, and the olive oil keeps the butter from burning. This is what you're going to saute the meat in. And we're going to flavor the meat with a little bit of salt and pepper. See how nice it looks? Very pretty. Just a little salt, a little tiny bit of pepper. Get that butter melted. So that is ready for the paillard. We're going to put this right in the hot oil and butter. Adjust the heat. So now what we're doing is sauteing our paillard. Paillard means to flatten, saute means to jump, and you can see that it's almost jumping out of the pan. Now let's see. Oh, so pretty. And I don't really like it any browner than that. Just a little golden around the edge, and make sure that it cooks through just a couple of minutes on each side, and it will be done. So quickly, so pretty. There is your paillard, and I can now cook this one. So you see, a meal in minutes is not an impossibility. I'm getting hungry. Okay, so here's our salad. Green beans, yellow beans, some French, some whole, and you can just add some pretty parsley leaves, some halves of cherry tomatoes, red and yellow, and a little bit of a mustardy vinaigrette. And I used a little grainy mustard for this. This is a very nice salad, but I like string bean salads. And they're very nice with a simple meal like this. It's time to turn. And you see how wonderfully the chicken keeps its shape. Okay, so just toss this. Oh, this looks so good. The string bean tomato salad can go right on the side. So colorful and pretty. Yeah, I need a couple red tomatoes. And some shoestring potatoes. And there you have a spectacular meal that you would be happy to get in any restaurant, in any home, anywhere. Preparing chicken paillards for dinner offers endless possibilities. Enjoy. When was the last time you made a chicken pot pie? Pot pies have stood the test of time. Originally cooked on open hearths in Dutch ovens, they are the ultimate one-pot meal. And this one is filled with a delicious combination of tender chicken and flavorful vegetables. Chicken pot pie is, I think, the perfect choice for a cold winter night. Now, the first thing to do is to cook your chicken. This is a 3.5-pound plump, nice chicken. It's sort of a little bigger than most broilers and a little smaller than most roasters. Now put it in a large stock pot with water to cover. There, that's perfect. Bring it to a boil and then turn down the heat to a simmer. It's going to take about an hour to cook to 165 degrees on an instant read thermometer. Another thing to get ready are the vegetables. 1 medium onion that's peeled and cut into 1/2-inch pieces. 1 pound of Yukon Gold potatoes. Look how nice and yellow they are. Now these two are peeled and cut into about 1/2-inch pieces. 2 or 3 carrots, depending on size, again peeled and cut into chunks, and 2 cups of rich chicken stock. And in this heavy casserole, I have 5 tablespoons of butter. And I'm going to saute the onions first for a little bit, then add the carrots, and then the potatoes. And you just cook until they're tender. Now, once that chicken is done, and you take the skin off and tear it into pieces, this is the size piece that you're looking for. Pretty uniform in size and well matched to the vegetables. So here the onions are just starting to soften. Add your carrots. And now add the potatoes. Oh, they are so beautiful. Get those coated with the butter. And so now after 10 or 12 minutes, the potatoes will be fork tender, as will the carrots. Add your cremini mushrooms. They're a little bit firmer than those everyday mushrooms. Aren't they pretty? This is a lovely filling, and it's made even a little bit lovelier by the next addition, which is 1/2 cup of cognac. Now, the cognac's going to deglaze the bottom of the pan, but it will also add a depth of flavor to the sauce, which I learned from an old friend years and years ago, that the addition of cognac to a chicken pot pie was just phenomenal. Let the flavor get infused into all those vegetables. Doesn't that look pretty? I love how it looks. And then 5 tablespoons of flour. Sprinkle over all the vegetables. Better to sprinkle than to dump it all in one spot, because this is what's really going to thicken your sauce. And you want to cook the floury taste out of the flour. So far, all the vegetables are still holding their shape, their color. You don't want to get them mushy in any way. Okay, now add 2 cups of chicken stock. Now the sauce will start to get thick. And 1 cup of whole milk. My friend who added the cognac, well, she used heavy cream, but we're living in a slightly different age now where we're trying to watch our calories. So you can use milk, it's very good too. Add a little bit of salt and pepper, bring to a simmer, and cook for about 2 to 3 minutes. Then you'll see the sauce thicken nicely. You know how sometimes when you buy those prepared chicken pot pies and there's hardly any chicken and you wonder, why did I buy this? Well, now you don't ever have to buy one. You can make them. You can actually, after you put the pastry topping on, you can freeze the whole pie before you bake it. And you will have a fabulous meal for you and your friends or your family in the freezer. And we have 1 cup of peas. The little peas I like very much in this. 2 tablespoons of chopped fresh thyme leaves. 2 tablespoons of fresh parsley. I use the flat Italian leaf parsley for this kind of cooking. And our chicken. And this is about 2 cups. Now it's nice and thick. Add the thyme. Add the parsley. And the peas. Very colorful, very healthy, very pretty, and fragrant. Those herbs really help. And then add your chicken. Now you can see why the homemade chicken pot pie is so superior to anything that you can buy. Look at all that chicken. Look at all the goodness that goes into the pot. Now season again with a little bit of salt. Of course, salt is good. And pepper. And our next step, fill the ramekins. Now this filling should be enough for 6 pot pies. And these are beautiful heavy-duty ramekins, which are intended for soufflés or pot pies like this. So put the solids in first. You can always fill with a little bit more of that delectable sauce. Now we're going to let them cool a little bit in the ramekins while we get the pastry ready. And we're using a pâte feuilletée, which is a traditional French puff pastry. And you can make your own. If you watched the baking show, Martha Bakes, you'll know how to make your own. But you can also buy pretty good quality puff pastry nowadays. This is a hearty, hearty meal. So you won't need much more than maybe a salad to start. It's very nice for a autumn lunch or a winter lunch or a main course for dinner. So just let the filling cool. Now, instead of making individual portions like this, you can make one large pot pie, which is also very beautiful. And I love to go to parties where one big pie serves a whole table of 8 or 10. So here's our puff pastry. Use a little bit of bench flour. You're going to need 2 sheets this size for the 6 pot pies. Work quickly because this softens so rapidly. It's filled with like 1,000 layers of butter and pastry. Now you can use, if you don't have access to a good puff pastry like this, you can use a pâte brisée, which is pie crust. And that works very nicely too. So that's number 1. Don't throw the scraps away. They can be used for decoration, for little palmiers for the kids, just for little snacks, baked with lots of sugar. There, so now we have our 3 rounds. Remove the excess neatly. And don't squish it all together because you can really reuse this for something. That should go right back into the fridge. And now these cut a vent hole in the center. Put these back on a parchment sheet and chill again just until they're really stiff, and that will enable you to use them easily. Now our pot pies have cooled enough so that we can apply the pastry top. And here are the pastry tops, nice and cool, cold. Pastry rule, make it cold, bake it hot. Your oven should be preheated at 425. What I'm doing is applying glue, which is egg wash, just egg and water, to the edge of the ramekins. And you have to work really quickly to get this to stick, and then make a pretty edge around. You can sort of make it up. Everybody has a different method of crimping and folding. But there, that looks, I think, really cute, doesn't it? So work quickly, get all your pies done, and preheat your oven to 425 degrees. Before you get these into the oven, I would suggest egg washing like this. Then chill the whole tray again, just until the pastry is rigid, and you pop it into the oven for about 25 to 30 minutes. Oh, I love how these are crimping. These are crimping perfectly. The pot pies can be assembled and refrigerated, covered, for up to 1 day before baking and serving. They can also be put into the freezer well wrapped and kept for a week or two before putting into the oven. The puff has puffed, the centers have bubbled. That is certainly a fantastic one-dish meal that your family is really going to go crazy over. Chicken pot pie, a family favorite. Now we're going to spatchcock a chicken. This funny word, spatchcocking, is believed to be an abbreviation of dispatch the cock, which was shorthand for prepare the chicken for roasting over a spit. I just find it very amusing, and everyone loves to think of what does spatchcocking mean and what does it do? Well, I'm going to show you. I have two ways to spatchcock when you keep the breast in the center by taking out the backbone, and this is very easy to do if you have a good pair of kitchen shears. Just cut along the side of the backbone. Takes a little bit of elbow grease, and you remove the entire backbone. This backbone will go right into the stock pot, so don't feel bad, you're not wasting it. There. Well, we'll put it here now, and that'll go into the stock pot. And then you will flatten the chicken like this and press down on the breastbone, and that is a spatchcocked bird. And so it's all pretty even. You can trim the skin if you like, but I love skin so much that I leave all the skin on. And that is one version of a spatchcocked chicken. And then there is the other way, which some restaurants prefer to do, which is cutting down the breast. Cutting this right in half along the breastbone and through the wishbone. And it makes a very different looking object. Now you can take this breastbone out. I don't know if you've seen the breastbone, but this is what it looks like. This is a piece of grisly bone that holds that part of the breast out. That's the breastbone. And so now you can flatten this, and it looks like that. And you can tuck the wings under. And this too cooks very nicely. So you can choose. You can do both if you're doing more than one chicken. So we're going to make a nice marinade by putting 1 medium onion into a blender jar with 1/2 cup of parsley, 2 teaspoons of thyme, 2 tablespoons of sage, the skin from half of a lemon, 2 cloves of garlic, and 1/4 cup of olive oil. Make sure you get all that olive oil out. And just blend this until it makes a nice thick paste. It's a nice green color. Gorgeous. It smells so good. There. So now this is going to go first under the breast of the chicken, and you can put the chicken right in a resealable plastic bag. This chicken is going to stay in here for 8 hours or overnight. It just really makes the meat extremely flavorful. Loosen the skin from the breast. And use your rubber spatula to insert this right under the skin. And then the rest of the marinade can just go right into the bag, front and back. Seal up the bag, put this on a tray, and refrigerate. So this is the fun part, wrapping the bricks. This chicken, the spatchcocked chicken, is cooked under bricks. And you don't want to put just a raw brick on top of your chicken. So wrap it in aluminum foil, roll it in a piece of heavy-duty aluminum, sealing the brick in completely. And then oil the brick a little bit before you lay it on top of your bird. So for a chicken this size, you really do need 2 bricks. And these are reusable. You can use them over and over again. Just change the foil. The chicken itself, well, it's been wiped clean of the excess marinade, and rub a little bit of oil on it. You need to prevent it from sticking on the grill. We're using a grill pan that sits right on top of the stove, and a tiny bit of olive oil on the grill pan too. You can do this in the oven. You can do this on a grill outside. Now just pick up your chicken, put it skin side down, and apply your bricks. The bricks really are to hold it flat and promote even cooking. Now, if you don't have bricks, and many of us don't, you can use a large skillet, oil the bottom, and you can weight it down with cans and other heavy things. So it's been 30 minutes on the skin side. Just remove the bricks and turn the chicken over if it releases easily from the grill. And this one is releasing very nicely. So whichever way you feel comfortable turning it with a pair of tongs and a fork, such as this. Doesn't that look amazing? So great. Oh, I love it. And now put the bricks back on. And finish cooking. It might take another 20 to 30 minutes, but test with your instant read thermometer to 165 degrees. If you don't have one of these wonderful stovetop grill pans, you should really get one. They really work well. Great for hamburgers too, because all the fat melts off and goes down in those little gullies. So we're going to continue to cook this for another 20 to 30 minutes. Now, once your chicken is perfectly cooked, just let it cool for about 10 minutes. Not really cool, but rest. This will let the juices redistribute. You can carve it on the board, or you can put it on a platter like this. Garnish it with a few halves of lemon, a little flaky salt on top, a little squeeze of lemon juice overall. And you have a very simple technique which will give you perfectly cooked chicken each and every time. It is a new old way to cook chicken. See you next time. Enjoy.
Brush paillards with olive oil. Season with salt and pepper and grill over high heat. Combine a 1/4 cup olive oil and the juice of a lemon and whisk to incorporate. Tear the lettuce leaves into the bowl along with fresh parsley and mint leaves. Toss to coat. Top the paillards with prosciutto and herb salad. Garnish with sliced radish, and enjoy.